Josh, tell us. I mean, you get into this world, and you build this movie. Obviously, there's a lot of drama and a lot of tension. You've got these different characters and people from all over the world, literally. It's not like good guys and villains. You know what I mean? You've got they're all kids. How did you stumble on this? How did you first find out about this world?
It started actually with a fellow director, a guy named David Frankel, who directed some wonderful movies, Marley and Me, Devil Wears Prada, among many. He has twins who are in this world. They're 12 or 11 or 12 now. So they're in this golf world. So he called one day the producer of the film, Rafi Marmor, and said, "This is an interesting world. I don't know exactly what, but I think it's an interesting world." Rafi called me up and said, "Listen, are you interested in doing a film about this?" I'm primarily a comedy director. I started in documentaries in the last 5 or 6 years. I've not been in the documentary world. And what happened was, as soon as I found out that there were 6- and 7-year-olds, I was hooked, because that was sort of I'm full disclosure, I'm not really a golfer. I mean, I hack around out there, but my interest really was in doing a documentary about kids this age, because I think, as you see in the film, they're at one moment incredibly funny, and at the next incredibly smart and wise, and can teach us a lot about ourselves.
By the way, are you cold?
No.
You're not. You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say. Okay, cool. So the name of this organization is what's it called again, for everybody's edification? It's
U.S. Kids Golf.
U.S. Kids Golf, and we have people who are here, right?
Yeah.
From U.S. Kids Golf. Where are they? Would you introduce them, the representatives that are here? Go ahead, stand up, please. Who do we have?
This
here
is
with
Dan
us? Van
Van Horn.
Right.
And
Let's have a round of applause, Dan.
And his whole family here.
Right.
We have Jennifer Van Horn, his wife, and Ben Van Horn, their son.
And tell us about the organization. So this is not. I was asking them at the event we had prior that this is not some PGA sanctioned thing, but this is like the Little League of golf, or pro golf, or.
Yeah, I mean, Dan could speak to it better, but it's it's an incredibly well-run, amazing organization that we were super grateful to that they opened their doors to us and let us come in with that final tournament. We had 18 cameras, 9 sound guys. We had a crew of about 50 chasing these kids around on the golf course, many of whom, Dan can tell you, didn't really know golf etiquette. So we had cameramen who were walking into people's lines and were shouting to other guys like, "Did you get that shot? That was good, huh?" People are like, "You can't do that on the golf course." So we were really grateful that they were so trusting. And part of the thing was, when we first pitched this film, everyone kept saying, "Oh, it's going to be about the crazy parents," right? And I kept saying, "No, I don't want to make that film. I don't want to watch that film. I'm not going to hide the parents, or if someone is getting too intense, try to sweep it under the rug. But I really want to make a film about these kids." And make them the stars, and of course the parents the supporting role. So Dan was, and his wife and the whole organization was incredibly supportive of that mission. So
you see the moment where the boy from China is watching the Colonel Sanders video, and decides he gets the bug and he's going to take up golf. How did that begin for you? When did you decide you were going to golf?
Well, I started doing tennis, and at 3.5, my dad took me out to the golf course, and it just started from there. I just kept on going.
Was it like some kind of magical? I mean, you're very young, so you don't know. But was there some kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey moment? You like picked up a golf club and it was like dum dum dum, and you like hit the ball and everybody freaked out.
I'm not really sure. I was about 3.5, but probably not.
So it's so long ago.
Yeah.
You were 3.5, man. It was like it was like another century. You picked up a golf club. You were 3.5.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what did you could hit a golf ball even then?
I hit it maybe about 2 yards.
Oh yeah. So, but then what happened? You really liked it?
And I just liked it, and I went out another time, and I just kept leading up.
And you kept playing.
Yeah.
And you kept playing. Wow. We talked before about you've done a documentary about the world for the one for Hulu that's coming out.
Yes.
In the world of mascots, so like professional team mascots. So you make films where you kind of go into some strange little world that you observe. Is that something that you seek? Do you like sit there and think, I want to go someplace where people haven't been before? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I think as a filmmaker, I want to either find a world that no one's ever seen before, or a world that we know from a new perspective. And I would say that actually both my projects, but this one in particular, we've all seen the golf world. But that opening shot in the film was, some of the shots, most of them are just verite style, we captured it. But that opening shot is a set-up shot where we sort of dolly across all these adults, and then the camera jibs down to reveal the kid who was actually Amari's little sister hitting the ball. But it's that kind of idea of like, okay, we've seen this world, now let's come down here and see this world from this perspective. So that similar to the sports mascots show called Behind the Mask, but we've seen the sports world, but never from the perspective of the mascot. So, yeah.
Now, there's that wonderful moment when Alan. By the way, we had been hopeful that Alan was going to come, literally, to the event. We tried to make that happen. And I was going to come out here and introduce everyone, and then I was going to say, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next president of the United States, Alan Kournikova. And, this kid's like nerves of steel, he's just a machine. But there's that moment when he gets excited about the other kid, or he gets a little anxious about the other kid hitting badly, and his caddy says, don't ever act like you're happy to see someone play poorly. And that's a wonderful moment.
Schadenfreude.
What is it?
Well, Schadenfreude,
Right. There was a wonderful moment of about sportsmanship. Is that what a lot of it's about when you're playing golf? They would teach you that you want to be polite and you want to be a good sport?
It's definitely about sports, being a good sport, and whoever can hold the nerves in, he will do the best.
Yeah. So you don't sit there and go, yeah, when somebody gets a bad shot?
No, but I just think it's an open door so I can make a move.
Well, you just say that's an open door. So you don't go, yeah, you just go, that's an open door for me to make a move. Do you say that to yourself silently?
Say it out loud.
Do you say it in some kind of
say it in
Tibetan
my head.
chant? Is it like so no one hears what you're saying? Is it like you say a secret language? You say it in
my
English. You say it in your inner language. You say it in your head. Outstanding. Best to say things in your head, I've learned, than to say them out loud. Always good to have developed that skill where you say it in your head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You read the Post? No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay. So, did you observe the same thing?
Yeah, what I loved about it was obviously I get to see these moments where they're learning lessons, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it for me, and what I hoped when it was starting the film was that if the film could transcend that and they teach us lessons. Yeah. And to me, there's a couple lessons I've learned. There's many lessons I learned from following around Sky and all these guys. There's two that I really love that I think work for anything and sort of apply to life that Sky can talk about. But one is she and all the kids have a very short memory. And they train themselves to do so. So after a bad hole, they put it behind them. After a bad shot, they put it behind them and they start fresh. And they start from where the ball is. And that's amazing. And I think it comes a little bit from their age, but I also think it's something that you work on, right, Sky?
Yeah.
It's like you also see it on the flip side when they have an amazing shot. They also put it behind them. When they have a successful shot, there's that moment where
I got to do that with my movie career. I got to put it behind me. You know what I'm saying?
So
thank you.
That part of it I love. The other one, and that's amazing because I think I know as I get older, you start focusing on your failure and you just throw the round. You're like, okay, it's not going to work. It's done. The other one that I really love and you see over and over in the film is that they only focus on the flag. They only focus on where they want to be. And they don't see the tree, in front of them or the bunker or the water, all the obstacles that get in the way of where they want to go. And there's such power in that confidence. And I think as we get older and we hit the trees and the bunkers and the water of life, we start not being able to even see where we want to go anymore. It just clouds our entire plan. And it's like those moments when Alan pulls out his driver, he's like, I'm just going to go for it. It sort of reminds you of this is how we should be living our lives. And this is actually a way to success in a way. It's if you can focus on where you want to go. So.
How long did it take you to shoot this film? Because it's months and months to cover the arc of. Because then you have to go meet them preliminarily in these other countries. You go to France.
That's right. Yeah.
So what was the show? How long? This was spread out over.
It was spread over about a year, which in documentary language is actually fairly short. Some docs take forever. We went to the very first in 2011. We went to the World Championship tournament, and that's where we really started casting. That was the first time I ever met Sky and her parents, Bob and Robin, who are here. and met all the kids. And then we really tried to meet as many kids as possible and see what they were like on the course, off the course.
What's the casting process like for a 7-year-old golfer?
Well, Sky can kind of tell you about it.
So
but
you picked kids that were obviously in this tournament.
Yeah.
Were there some that got cut out? Were there others you had followed?
There were kids that we kind of early on sort of followed, but there was one child who we actually really unbelievably difficulty had to cut out of the film, which was a really hard part for me. It was really a result of being one too many characters at the end of the day. That's really hard. This is 8 characters, and it's really lovely for me to hear you guys sort of respond and track who's who, because one of the first things you worry is, can they keep track of 8 people in a film? But the casting process, Sky, was we just sat down and we talked and we got out the cameras and I remember asked you some weird questions. I asked you if you could be any animal, what would you be? You just sort of...
What animal would you be?
A cat.
You'd be, duh. We saw the movie, the end of the movie, you got the cat, right?
Yep.
Now, did you teach your father to say things inside? To talk to himself inside? Because you do teach him that in the film, don't you?
Yeah,
You see
but
that moment.
Yeah, but he sort of teaches himself, and so does my mom, though, too.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Now you play golf with your family. Do you guys go out and golf together?
My dad would rarely play golf, and my mom doesn't play golf at all.
And your dad plays rarely?
Yeah.
So, like, when you want to play for fun, do you ever play for fun, or is it always drilling and preparing for competition?
Usually it's for practice, but sometimes I go out with my friends and play for fun.
I saw her play against her dad and his 2 buddies, both 45, 50-year-old guys.
Did you take $1,100 from them, too?
She did.
Avery?
She did.
Sky, rather. Now, when you see, speaking of Avery, you see her dad, very unhappy. And I'm assuming, because of the style of the film, that because you seem rather kind and rather generous in the way you cut this thing, that there's probably a lot of moments in the film that you left out of people who, when they were not on their best behavior, correct?
Sure. I mean, I think, again, what I went into it, you don't want to be fake and say, oh, I'm going to hide what's the truth of this world. But the reality is, I had no idea going into it what kind of parent response you're going to get. What are you going to see? I think the expectation is that, okay, this has to be parents who are pushing, and that's sort of the outside perspective of that's the only way you can get someone to be as good as Sky. And the fact of the matter is, I think for those of you who have any kids or have 6 or 7-year-olds, you're not making a 6 or 7-year-old golf for 5 or 6 hours a day, which is what Sky likes to do. And you're also not making them champions. So while, yes, there's pushing and there's urging, I also was surprised by, particularly the kids we followed, who I think were at the top, by how much it was the kids driving. But yeah, there's moments there. Andre Avery, when he first saw the film, he called me up on the way to the film and he said, "Josh, I'm really nervous, to come watch this." And I'm thinking, well, part of me is thinking, well, you should be, Andre. but I.
Oh, really, Andre? Huh.
But he said, I'm just nervous to see who I am up there. And, one of the things that I think we can all sort of sit back and judge, but what I appreciate about Andre and everyone who was in the film, I mean, he shows himself. He is who he is. I ask that we look at it and instead of judge right off the bat, ask the next question is, well, why is he behaving that way? Why? What is underneath it? And, I just became a father. I know Alec here did. And, I have 14-month-old twins. Yes, we could clap for Alec. It's very recent. But, you start to realize even
Should I start my daughter golfing now? She's a week old. She's 1 week old today. Should I go to the golf shop now?
Probably not.
Thank you, Scott.
But as the main thing is just that I very quickly, you just want the best for your kids. You just want them to be happy. You want them to be successful. You want them to have a good time in life and make it through. And so at the end of the day, yes, Andre's approach to it may be flawed, but he'd be the first one to tell you that. And he says a nice line. He says, as a child grows, I think a parent needs to grow. And I got to see Andre grow over the course of the year as well. So it was an interesting process.
Now, let me just say that, the 3 of us up here, we're not in the golf business like you. We're in the movie business and the TV business. We're in show business. So what it means we're pretty cynical, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm just not buying this whole sweetness thing of yours. You just seem so sweet. And you seem so polite and so nice and so mature. I'm like, don't you melt down? Don't you go home and, take a golf club and hack up one of those bunnies of yours in that bedroom? Don't you chop one of them up with, a sand wedge? Come on, Sky. You're not like this all the time, are you? This perfect?
I am pretty nice to my mom and dad all the time.
My God. So you are sweet.
Yeah.
So you just like play golf, go home, have lunch, and just be sweet.
Yeah.
Now, where do you go to school? Are you like at a regular school, or do you have to be homeschooled to do this?
I go to regular school. I go to private school at Woodlands Prep.
So you go to school in Woodlands.
Yeah.
And remember, we basically, I mean, I kind of know this because I read about this somewhere, but your father was kind of confirmed this. Woodlands is really like one giant, like archipelago of country clubs, isn't it? Like it's a whole chain of golf courses all together.
Yeah.
It's like a huge golf community. And so you have to play. You play how many days out of the year? Every day?
Year, not really every day, but probably 300 to 320 days a year.
You play 320 days out of the year.
Yeah.
Now, what determines what days you get off? What happens? Do you like pull them out of a fishbowl with the numbers on it? Okay, March 11th you get off this year. March 11th, everyone. And they put a little pin on the calendar with like a pink pin. And you get that day off. How do we know what days you get off?
I just if I play for a week, I probably get 2 days off. It just kind of depends on how I'm playing.
Have you ever been injured?
No, but I has asthma before.
You have
And
asthma.
you got stung by a bee at the World Championships.
Yes, and that day I did shoot a 33.
So you got stung by a bee during the tournament?
Yeah.
And knowing you, Sky, you apologized to the bee, didn't you? You said, I'm sorry, I was here in the woods playing my game of golf in your woodlands. Is that right?
No, I didn't
No,
apologize.
okay. What are you working on now? Are you releasing this film?
Yeah, so that's
Where is it? Who's distributing the film?
The film is being distributed theatrically, which is a huge deal for us. We're very excited. It is going to be in theaters September 20th. So if you guys can help out, yes, thank you. You know, we need all the help we can get. We are a documentary, which is always a little hard to get people out to the
Tweet it.
theater.
Do you have a Twitter page?
We have a Twitter page. We have a Facebook is the easiest. Just the short game is at Facebook, and our
If
website,
anyone wants
Short
to
Game the Movie.
Facebook that or tweet that, because we really encourage that social media wise here at the festival, because David, who's the artistic director, we, as everybody who knows this, he sends me and we discuss what films we want to show in the series over the summer. It's a documentary series, and then these are films we really love and want to support. So if whatever you can do to get out there in any social media, Twitter or Facebook about Short Game, please do. I encourage you to do that.
Thank you.
Not at
you so
all.
much.
What's next for you, Sky?
Well, golf tournament-wise, I have one in October called the Ryder Cup. It's where North Texas and South Texas competes against each other.
Right.
Is this your first day in the Hamptons?
Yes, I've never been to New York, so
You've never been to New York. Now, did you go into the city?
yes.
Right. Did you try to golf there?
No.
Did you ask where the golf course was?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Did you like New York?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
She
crazy.
went to Times Square last night with her dad, and she brought back a zebra stuffed animal that was in the back seat of the car with us, along with Rabbi, who did make the trip.
We
In
did.
case you're wondering. And what's the zebra's name?
ZB.
Zebi. There's a naming scheme here if you sort of look at it.
Yeah. We have time for some questions from the audience. If anybody wants to ask any questions from the audience of our filmmaker, or anybody want to raise their hand? Do we have any questions from the audience here? Don't be shy. Right here.
I have a question. It's a Johnny Manziel kind of thing. A question that relates a little to Johnny Manziel, Mr. Football kid. Did you just blow your scholarship possibilities in the NCAA by taking Alex's money this afternoon?
Well, I have already seen Johnny Manziel play at the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, you have? Okay. And he got in trouble for taking money for signing things.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't take any more of Alex's
Yeah,
money.
he didn't. Yeah, I'm not giving her the money. We're giving it to the film festival. So I think you're cool. He's trying to indict you in some kind of scandal. We're from New York, man. We're like dirt. You know what I mean? We want to know that you're as messed up as we are. As New Yorkers,
I'm just
What do we
curious. How long were the holes? I noticed, I play golf occasionally. It looked like a lot of the holes were not standard golf holes, and I guess for 7-year-olds.
Let's have Mr. Mr. Van
right, you
Horn
can
is the name. Tell us a little bit about, if you would, the league, when you founded it, and what kind of courses do you play?
Should I stand up? Let me stand up for a second. Yeah, the concept was that we've studied kids like Sky. We know how far they hit the ball in the air. So we wanted to set the course up so it felt like traditional golf, like you would play as an adult or as an LPGA player. So we know how far the best players in the world, their 7 play. So instead of playing from the shortest tees, which are the red tees, she would play from I think she plays from a 1,700 yard, 1,500 yard course. Is it, Sky? Do you remember how far it was?
Yeah. Well, this year was 2,000. Last year, I think it was 1,500. Yeah.
Exactly. So
1,500.
as she gets older, the courses get longer each year so that par is attainable. And we think that being able to shoot under par sets in her the idea that she's not afraid to go low and to score and have fun. And the idea really of having bogeys and double bogeys and triple bogeys and playing slow is not nearly as appealing as playing and scoring and having success. So.
And those courses, Dan, just to point out, like it's the real courses at Pinehurst. It's not; these aren't kid-designed courses. So the greens.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Everything on the greens, everything around the bunkers and so forth, are all the courses that are there. And
Did you start this league?
yeah, I started U.S.
How long
Kids.
ago?
I started U.S. Kids 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Thank
Do you have time for another question over here? Right in front?
Josh, you said that you tried to show everything warts and all, but the kids genuinely look like they like each other and were playing with each other in between matches, and I mean, did you find that surprising to you that they're competing and they're at each other and then they're just?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, again, it's one of those things that if we take a look and pay attention to kids, they can teach us. They're crazy competitive. I mean, Sky wants to win super bad, but as soon as the round's over, what are you doing?
I'm playing ping pong and eating.
But yeah, it's great. I mean, it did surprise me. I mean, my favorite, of course, is Zama and Augustin. 2 people who don't speak the same language, and one of them thinks the other one's a girl. And they're best friends.
I was going to say.
It's amazing.
I love it. And Alan Kournikova to me he's like the next George Bush, I think, because he plays checkers and chess. Does that play chess? I hope not. And then he said, and there was the other one. It's funner. He said it's funner to play. I loved him. So we have the young lady over here. Who do we have?
How do you get into the championship?
Well, you get into the championship, you have to win your regional to get into it. I'm not sure. Dan. I don't know.
You have to qualify, and I think you play a regional tournament to qualify. And as you saw with Zama, if you place high enough that year, you get invited back automatically next year, so you don't have to. Which was so great about Zama was he got in the top 20. Really quick, by the way, this year just happened. The World Championships tournament just happened. Sky did an amazing job and came in.
Second place.
Yes.
Second.
And by just 1 stroke, it was almost a 3-way tie for first. I'll give you a quick rundown. Jed Dye won. He won the tournament, which is great. Zama Naksana from South Africa.
I need to listen. In the Downton Abbey drama department here, I need to know whose fault was it that Jed Dye didn't get to the thing? Whose fault was it? Come on!
Well, really what happened, and Dan can speak to it, it's just what happens with a rain delay is things get crazy. All these kids start running around, and so it was just...
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah, no, but there was multiple kids, so, I don't want to say it was his mom, because it wasn't. It just got...
You don't have to.
It really just happened. Here, I'll explain it this way. There were multiple kids late that day. So if that makes sense, it just happens. It was very hard, and there's
We're going to run out of time here. We have one more question here, then I got a question. Another young lady? Yeah. Here we go.
Sky, was it hard for you to lose to Avery?
I took it very well. It was hard because I really wanted to win, but I was happy for her to win, so I was okay with it.
I've learned so much from you today, Sky. I've learned so many powerful life lessons I'm going to take out of this theater tonight and apply them in my life. I got a new child here. I got so much growing to do, so much learning to do. I've got one last question for you, and that is, I watched you lifting those weights, and you looked like you were struggling a little bit. What are you going to do to muscle up in the off season? What are you going to do to power up? What's your workout?
Well, I run through a ladder, I go through cones, and I box my dad. So.
You box your dad. That's fascinating. Well, I want to say sincerely that you are absolutely a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful young woman, and it was such a
Thank you.
thrill to meet you.
Thank you too.
And it was so great to have you're such a great kid, and you're a great sportswoman. And congratulations to you, and
Thank you.
congratulations to you for your film. And thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
You really, 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 you should be very proud of yourself.